The fourth acre for food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product, but at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put poultry for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1 acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice this banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. Every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big global demand.
We have 10,000 Nile tilapia fish and 10,000 African catfish. And when we sell our 10,000 tilapia, we get in one harvest 20 million shillings.
Fruits, especially capsule, which is cold, can do very high value crops like apples. And then finally, those who are near the wetlands, like the ones in the Bukit who are wasting the wetlands, they should do fish farming, not in the center of the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The parish development model is your pathway to wealth creation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of the roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project. That answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice, and commerce.
Why do you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers? You bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport.
If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala.
We have to change the political culture in this country, really. Who has bewitched Ugandans?
I want to assure you, as government, we shall do whatever it takes to ensure that Ugandans are safe.
We have conversations that have analysis, explanation.
This law society, this union of theirs, because they want a job everywhere, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want... No. We know it's a union.
You cannot be making a road, bitumen grade 1, in Congo for 5 billion.
But not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth.
The argument that the General Court Martial is responsible for peace and stability is without basis, either in law or in fact.
We have been told how Napoleon was a great orator. Now, Napoleon cannot help me get food. They told me combine harvest in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Saskatchewan is. This is a geography we're taught. Instead of teaching me how to preserve Mabera forest, they're teaching me about Rhineland. This is a problem we got. We cannot run away from it.
Right now, you hear very disgusting stories of members of parliament. Instead of discussing the details of loans, they ask for their cuts.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters,
There exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for always choosing UBC TV. And like I earlier mentioned, we are talking matters UEDCL, it being able to explain the service disruptions, because the conversation we had last week, well, it left us hanging, and many of you kept on asking questions, and we thought, why not have much more time with John Nkiza to help us do that. John Nkiza is the head of communications at the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, and he is in studio already with us to help us do that. So 0709602592 is the WhatsApp number that you are able to use to ask your question. Now, on the 31st of March 2025, UEDCL took over from Umeme to manage Uganda's power supply, and as expressed and experienced relatively by different Ugandans, everyone faces load shedding relatively. Now, I use the word relatively because last week, John Nkiza, the head of communications at UEDCL, expressed the fact that different areas express it differently, and this is due to facts like the current power outages being so rampant because of UEDCL having to take over, inherit an uninvested in network, seeing as the government had made the decision not to renew Umeme's contract, thus a span of 3 years without direct investments going on. And he is back in studio to help us elaborate more on that. Once again, 0709602592. Welcome to the show, Jonan.
Thank you very much. Our dear viewers across the country, a very good morning, and I want to thank you for bringing me back to answer some unanswered questions.
Yes.
And I am glad that you've started on a note which really is forming part of the so many things we have done in these 100 days. But we usually have our slogan at UEDCL that we don't lament. We are one of the few government agencies that you will never find lamenting about situations. It is 100 plus days, but I allow me really navigate through the first 100 days in terms of what we think is celebratable milestones on the side of government, and also help our listeners and our viewers across the country to appreciate that the positive trajectory that we began on 1st of April is going to sweep the entire country, and everyone will have a positive story to tell.
Right.
Come the year 2025 December, we shall have surely realized a lot of improved stability on the side of power supply. When we took over, we received an extended mandate, and I am glad to inform the country that by clock of our 100 days, the expanded structure which we received from our shareholders, that is the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Finance, the two, was 2,712 employees, direct employees in the organization. And by the 100th day mark, we had already successfully recruited 2,601 employees. And these ones I'm talking about were recruited in a very record time.
Right.
In less than 2 months, all these people were in. And I don't think you had a lot of brouhaha up there, people raising alarm over issues. This is such a huge number in terms of recruitment to have been undertaken in less than 90 days. But these are also Ugandans. And I remember we did mention that we were targeting the basket of Umeme first because of the experience, the expertise, and also the fact that government is determined to create employments for its citizens. In the same vein, we have added on 840 new connections technicians in this same period as we are marking 100 days. The people we are talking about that we are giving jobs are Ugandans. These people are the ones who are meant to drive this economy. And I believe as a brick being added to this economy here, we are glad that as we are celebrating 100 days, 3,441 employees have joined the company now, and our target is to reach 3,692 by close of this month. I think this is good for us to celebrate as Ugandans.
Right.
Now, Ugandans always love the other part of the undone. But let me begin with the part of the done, then we shall discuss that segment of the pain of the undone.
Right.
In terms of system upgrades, I recall even some of the issues being raised by our consumers across the country in light of power availability, unreliability, loaded transformers, mention it all, those are pains. But there are also gains on the side of system upgrades. That today, as we marked 100 days, in I think a record time of about 47 days, we had already upgraded the Kakiri substation from 10 megawatts to 20 megawatts. And I am sure you're not hearing people in Wakiso, Busunju, Kakiri, parts of Nansana crying of the quality of supply, the quality of electricity. That's already a sorted case in 100 days. Now, if you look down the other side of the Chigezi sub-region, the Kabale municipality area, we took over, and I think the substation at the distribution level was loaded up to about 2.5 megawatts. Today, as we speak, we have had to upgrade that substation to 5 MVA, which is sufficient and adequate enough for people in Kabale. And I don't think you're hearing any pains there. So in terms of upgrading substations, we are doing so much. Some of the processes are still ongoing. We are planning to build substations by the close of the year, one in Majije area to try and offload the burden which is on our native Mutunde substation and other remnant substations that we inherited. Now, allow me also tell you this, that even on the side of adding customers on the grid, you recall we told the nation that over 277,789 customers had indicated to apply for electricity, and out of the 277,789, about 128 customers were ready for connections. And it is based on that decision that we made a move to start recruiting what we have called the new connections technicians to specifically deal with this backlog that we inherited from Umeme, but also the backlog of people who have come on board to apply for electricity as a result of the different schemes of government that are running. Notable among many to mention includes the electricity access scale-up project, which is funded by the World Bank and under of course, the direct supervision of our Ministry of Energy. I think about 2 days ago, we entered into memorandum of understanding with the ESP section of Ministry of Energy, and I think we signed an agreement with the PS on Friday. And really the plot is to recruit close to about 900 new customers on the grid. And we are serious and determined that by the end of next year, we shall have realized this target. Our target has now since increased from 225, whom we have in our license, which we received from ERA, to now close to 510 in a year. So by the time we clock 31st December 2025, we believe we shall have hit the mark of 510 new additional customers.
Right.
That is good news for Ugandans, especially for those who have been waiting for electricity for so long. And also very important that even those who have been crying for a one-pole connection, that's already cleared ground for them. That you only need to indicate to us that where you are, you require a pole. Under the auspices of the World Bank scheme of ESP, the pole will be delivered and a connection free of charge will be given to you. What has not been done by government, really? Because on the other side of those who are near a pole, they don't require to pay for the meter. They only need 23,600 for survey and the 6,400, which is actually given to them in form of initial energy. Because when we come to connect you, we leave you with units on your yaka as we migrate that meter into our database to enable you start purchasing electricity. So we want to really emphasize on this point that government meters, especially under government schemes, are not for sale. We are giving them out for free as per the objective of government of increasing access to Ugandans.
Right.
Also still in the same vein, our availability in terms of the grid has improved from 97.1 in the last 100 days to 98.1 as we marked the 100th day. And we want to believe this is also as a result of a number of factors. Of course, there is a lot of investment being driven on the side of transmission, which is the grid, the system side. But also on our side, there is a lot which is being done to ensure that this network is upgraded. I know Ugandans who are watching me today may say there is an imbalance between what you're telling us on the side of the grid and also what we're experiencing as end users. You will recall in these 100 days, we have had to shut down on the side of the system, UTCL, very critical installations, including notably the Mutumbe substation for 20 days of the 100 days that UDCL has been here. I don't know whether you appreciate what that means. It means a number of areas, about 65% of Kampala, has been experiencing instability because we draw our electrons from that critical substation, that critical asset. So it has a lot of impact on the side of us, the distributor, but it also has great impact on you who is consuming energy. Right. But how best do we explain this, that investments are required on the other side of the system to ensure that we have robust stability on the other side? So we need investments on the side of transmission, but we also need investments on the distribution side if we are to continue giving you uninterrupted supply in the coming future. So we know it's an inconvenience and it has affected many businesses, but we also would request you to understand us from the point of investment, that these investments are already approved by ERA. They must be undertaken by these institutions. If UTCL does not undertake these investments, and if UTCL does not utilize the money that has been given to it by the Electricity Regulatory Authority, they will slap on us a very critical fine, or even sometimes we can even lose our jobs because we are not being compliant to regulatory principles. So it's a very catchy situation on the side of investments, because all investments we are talking about that are driving into the electricity subsector must be undertaken when electricity is off.
Right.
And that's not the news you want. I know most consumers are not interested in hearing that side of the story.
Indeed.
So,
perhaps let's start from here. You know, when you explain it from a layman's language, but also from the grass, while scratching the grass, it helps us build momentum in terms of understanding whenever this happens. So following the conversation and the profound background you've shared, let's have a look at the word load shedding itself. Following this conversation over the past couple of months, I've come to understand that load shedding leads to power outage. However, we use the word load shedding to mean the experience itself. And I think from what I've studied, it looks like power outage is the experience. But to the viewer, let's start from just understanding what load shedding is, what power outage is.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's use very basic examples. We undertake load shedding if we are running an asset which is below a certain level of thirst. We load shed. Now, the principles of electricity are funny, that electrons flow where there is thirst. If your appetite for electricity is, for example, 10 megawatts, and what is available on the grid is 15 megawatts, you will first swallow the 10, and then the rest of the people will scramble for the 5. So it means the rest of the people who can't get will undergo load shedding. Now, in principle also, why I don't want us to mix these two words is we load shed because there are certain responsibilities on the side of either distribution or transmission that are being driven. But you don't want to entirely interrupt service supply. So you leave some people on as you get off some people off the grid in order to balance the appetite of electricity at that time. Now, blackouts may not necessarily be as a result of load shedding. Okay. Blackouts can be as a result of your human activities, among many including vandalism. When an infrastructure is vandalized, an area will go into what you call a forced outage. It is not planned by the institution. It is driven by human activities. Human activity is not necessarily vandalism, but also other activities, including lumbering. For those who are in forested zones, you are cutting down your trees, they are your trees. Your trees end up landing on maybe an electricity power line, and before you know it, about 15 poles are down. Supply is off. That's an outage. It's a blackout, but it is not planned. But also we have blackouts which we plan, what you may call planned outages. Like, for example, we are going to shut down areas around Entebbe this week. They will be off supply from 8 to 5 p.m. But we are already going to communicate 24 hours to the shutdown. We should be able to issue notices to alert people to prepare properly. And those who are watching me should actually prepare accordingly. That on 15th from 8 a.m. sharp up to 5 p.m., don't expect power. Why? Because we are going to undertake investments which have been approved by the regulator for us to make the network good. So this aspect of outages has two components. There are forced outages which will come as a result of human activities, and even activities of people who presumably, who assume that they actually know this trade. I'll give you an example of camufus in our areas. Camufus or an unlicensed wireman who will climb on these transformers and in a guise of changing you to a more stable line, they end up switching you off, and then they go through a certain maybe locality and they collect money for them to restore you. But that is the intention. It is being done with the purpose of really an individual fulfilling his selfish interests. It is not as a result of a planned activity by the institution. But also we also have outages as a result of faults. I want to tell you that most of the infrastructure we are having is more than 10 years old in this country. So it means it is susceptible to breakdowns, like any other thing can break down. We all fall sick, and I know most of you are viewing me. Anything which has electromechanical life must be maintained, but also it is susceptible to faults. Like you will go to a petrol station after 6,000 kilometers and you do service for your car. Or the car actually breaks down even before you reach the 6,000 and you have to repair it. So we also have those kind of checks on the side of the distribution segment, where even if we have planned to do an investment maybe in the coming months, the network can actually fail before those investments are undertaken, and yet we have to restore supply. So you realize that outage may come as a result of those faults. So it's not entirely true that load shedding is something that is now common these days. What is common? We have been having blackouts, and these blackouts have been driven by our acts of our citizens, like vandalism, uncouth practices like even harvesting transformer oil. Yes, people are stealing transformer oil, and these transformers are blowing, and you find hundreds of homes being pushed into forced outages. So we believe that by working together with everyone who is watching, in watching electricity installations is going to help us realize 100% power reliability.
Now, let me engage some of your comments and questions. Good morning, UBC. I'm Josh Bugembe from Jinja. I want to thank you for your presentation. And what I'm inquiring from Mr. Jonan of UADCL is that here in Bugembe, Wanyama, we are having a problem of power shortage, which is on and off from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. Yeah. But why is it that when you call the toll-free of UADCL number, they pick up and give you a reference number, but no response from those people? I so far have 4 reference numbers of the same issue. I request for a response in issues concerning people's safety and their building. Thank you for your service.
Okay. But maybe to speak generally, as you recall, we are discussing about 104 days of UDCL.
Yes.
And the things we are discussing, like now, in light of what my brother from Ginger is raising, speaks into the aspect of investments, but also speaks into the other angle of planning. We have taken note that most of the residentials are residing in areas that are close to very big factories. And that's why you see between 8 and 10 p.m. In our electricity language, we define this as a peak hour.
Right.
It's a peak hour. Everybody is on the grid. So now they are competing with probably maybe large power users in this area who draw a lot of energy, and they leave little for them to squamble as electricity consumers. But we want to give you our promise that you are not sleeping, and one of our targets this year is to inject close to 600 transformers in the business before close of this year 2025. So it means that we shall do as much as possible to relieve the load all the existing infrastructure that you are having.
Right.
But also, we are undertaking network planning. We want to ensure that these areas have well-planned phases, that you are not competing with guys with heavy appetite, because we know that actually is one of the leading causes of some of these off-the-coal shortages in terms of power supply in our homes. Not only Ginger, but we have had these same cries in areas around Mutundwe. We have had these challenges in Nansana. You know, when the big users load on their machines, they draw a lot of energy. And this is affecting the consumers. But we want to give you a promise that we are undertaking several customer-driven investments that are going to improve the grid, and surely you will not be able to raise this issue again. I know by the close of the year, happiness would have returned. And I think even yesterday we did some system upgrades in Ginger. I think you'll be going forward, you'll be able to see some kind of improvement,
yes,
as also investments are trickling in the segment. So I felt maybe this should not only speak to our people in Ginger, but should speak to people who are in areas which have overgrown. And we have also had challenges, especially in our communities, that when we bring transformers to upgrade your problems, to try and sort out these problems, people are now denying. They don't want us to give them transformers. We have to first pay and put in transformers. We want really to raise this as a concern on the side of distribution, that these transformers are meant to improve reliability in your area. We are requesting kindly allow us to inject these transformers. We are already seeing that government is driving an objective of reducing the end user tariff. And the way you can reduce the end user tariff is to reduce on the expenses that go directly in the electricity segment. So let us not start contributing again to increasing indirectly the tariff of electricity. Because when you ask us to pay for a transformer, to install a transformer, that cost is going to go in the tariff. Before you know it, what would have actually gone low is going to continue shooting up because of our own interests. So we request kindly, this exercise is on when people come and they map out areas which have issues of quality, low quality of electricity. Kindly allow our teams sign those papers, which will be an acknowledgement that you have allowed us as a distribution segment to put that installation in your land, because we don't want to come back tomorrow when you have taken us to court on counts of trespass.
Right.
So that really acknowledgement form is, and that consent form is misconstrued by so many people that we want to steal land. No, distribution doesn't take land. Actually, for us, our infrastructure, it lives on your asset, which is land. Really, we don't buy. It is our sister company transmission that buys the corridor. For us, we don't buy, because our power is meant to power your homes. So imagine everywhere you see a black pole of electricity. If we were buying, what would be the cost of electricity today?
Right.
So it is really a tricky balance. I know the project's team is already running around different parts of Kampala, but kindly allow our social teams to get clearance from you to allow us to invest in these transformers. We are having them.
Let's look at what it takes to actually have this transformer on someone's property.
Yeah. Okay, there are two scenarios. Scenario number one is when we find a transformer already existing and we replace, that's okay. But there are also instances where you find that the transformer which is existent cannot meet the appetite of people in that area. So now we map out and see which areas are affected at peak hours, like what my brother in Ginger is saying, between 8 and 9, which homes go off. So then we estimate, we say, in this area, we are going to install a new transformer. Now, that's where now the big challenge starts. You will find there is already an infrastructure, but for you to have an infrastructure which can host a transformer, it is usually double. It's a double structure. You have to deliberately construct it when it is going to host the transformer. So that's where the big discourse is. That because we are establishing some of these new load centers, we get challenges with people to give us access. And yet it is only in these spots where we can have an adequate infrastructure to meet the demands of everyone. So the selection of these areas is done carefully after the engineering team looks at where the challenge of loading is and at what time.
So when a transformer is, when an area is actually located and found suitable for a transformer, to whoever owns this property, are they engaged as...
Yes, we engage them.
As to be landlords to you, EDCL, or
yes, we request them to allow us.
Mm.
We request them to allow us to use space to install a transformer.
Right.
And we do this, of course, responsibly through the local authorities, local council 1s, local council 2s, to really get a point of agreement on what this infrastructure means, because we're also looking at the safety of the infrastructure at the same time. We want to put it where it is safe. That's very important.
So during these conversations, are there conversations of how exactly it will stay there? Is it by renting? Is it for free?
We don't rent. Unfortunately, we don't rent, because imagine all these transformers. We have close to about 50,000 transformers. Imagine if all of them were renting. What would be the cost of electricity?
that clarity was needed, lest someone actually says that at UBC, we were told that you pay us.
No, no. We don't rent, and we also don't buy land for this infrastructure, because this infrastructure is driven to serve you. So we want to encourage people to allow us to actually improve the grid.
Right.
We are now relying on people to allow us to improve the grid.
Right.
Yes.
Let me engage more of your comments. It's Mark Morgan Kalibala from Bale. Question, when will load shedding stop, as in power cuts all over the country? I hope the background that he has given has painted a picture for you, but I believe he'll speak more into your question. Hello, good morning, Uganda. I'm called Wangutusi Fred, watching live from Bali, Namisindwa district. I wanted a new connection for electricity, but I still paid TID. I think this is like a reference number, and you shared the money you paid.
How much?
To UBDCL. That is 472,950. A charge of, and you paid it on the 6th of last month for the service of the same, and yet the officer is saying it's being done for free.
Okay, that's very important a question. There are two schemes that government is running.
Right.
We are running a free scheme, which is both under ESP of the World Bank and also under ECP, Electricity Connection Policy. I think a policy which was put in place in 2018 by government of Uganda to deliberately drive connections, where government procures everything for you, including the meter, the solido, and it is what the customer does is to wire their house, pay the surveyor's fees and the initial energy. That's a scheme of government. Number two, that same scheme is augmented by the ESP as well, where now we are having a one-pole extension. However, this is also very important for us to appreciate that a government scheme is a scheme for everyone. If a customer is interested in a self-funded scheme, because the target is the Muntu. If, for example, you are financially able to meet the costs of this connection of yours, we left a window open that a customer can actually pay for his meter, and they are connected in the shortest time possible. Why are we talking in the shortest time possible? Because the government scheme has a queue that you have to follow. If you applied for a government scheme today, you will have us to wait for us to complete the queue that we inherited from Umeme, the 128 ready customers. Until we are done with them, we cannot begin with those who have applied today. The principle of first come, first serve under the government scheme really is operational. We do it for purposes of objectivity, and also to ensure that Ugandans don't again raise unfairness in the exercise of giving out this service of government. Whereas on the side of what my brother has paid for, what you may call a self-funded scheme, in principle, this customer should have been connected. And maybe probably after the show, I will need more details.
Right.
I will check with the Mbale team why this person has not been connected. But apologies, there could have been delays on the side of our team. But if my team is also watching us from he said he's from Mbale.
Yes, Mbale, yes.
Namisindwa. If our team is watching us from Mbale, please connect that customer quickly because he has paid for a self-funded service.
All right. And somebody else, this is Doreen. She says, good morning. What happened to the units? They run as fast as wind. Bambi, work upon that. I'm in Kasangati.
Doreen and many other viewers, we received that complaint even last week when we were here.
Yes.
We don't close our ears to it. And I don't want our countrymen to think that we are sleeping completely over this comment. But also, we have been drawn to some observations over this trending argument about light moving very fast. Number one, we have reached out to customers who say that their meters are running, their units are running very fast. And we have observed their units, their meter or their interfaces are very normal. There could be an increase in what they use electricity for, and they actually don't notice it. So it is a debate which is very fragile. But also number two, electricity is on. You see, when the power is on, you will not expect it to feed on anything, but on what you have supplied it. If you have units on your account and the power is on many more hours than it used to be rest assured, I can't give you a guarantee that it won't move. The electricity is going to move. But if it is off many times a week, be sure you're going to have your reserve untampered with. Number three, very important. Also, there are people who are sharing meters.
All right.
You find a meter is communal, and the kind of loading that we are having on these interfaces, on these metering units, is not commensurate with the load which is there. Because some people in their small in their side corners, someone will load on a cooker, a hot plate. You will not go and peep what the neighbor is doing, and yet you are using one metering interface. That's already a challenge. Then we have another critical observation we have found. It's an issue of the quality of wiring in our homes. Because some of these things are done by unqualified and uncertified people, we have realized that most of the homes don't meet standards. We have checked in many homes, people have been complaining about, I think successfully 4 customers that we have visited. We have found very many loose connections in their houses. Please, yes, we know it could be an issue of the metering interface, but before you raise it on our side, first make sure to indulge your electricity supplier or your wireman, your certified wireman, to come and check the wiring of your house. But also lastly, before I give another final opinion of the organization, is our customers need to continue checking their earthing values. Every house has earthing, but once the earthing values go into a terrible state or they reduce, it compromises on how your units run. I know there are people who are viewing us who will touch even their doors during maybe a heavy downpour, and their doors have electricity. That electricity is not ours, it is yours. It is unfortunate that electricity goes onto the doors, it doesn't go in the socket. So you are losing it in principle, that's what I'm trying to mean. You are losing it, it is getting lost in 2 aspects, that's where it's not supposed to go. Then finally, we also want to agree that there could be problems with meters. These meters are susceptible to failures like any other electrical equipment. And electrical equipments will fail time after time. So if you have a challenge, let us responsibly reach out to our area offices, report the meters. The institution will pick the meter, take it to a lab at UNBS with your indulgence and also with your time. We shall seek the time of these customers. And actually our interest is in these customers. How I wish these customers who are complaining about units running very fast could give us also their meter accounts, so that we move in quickly to retrieve those meters, we take them for tests, so that we qualify whether they meet the standard or not. But also, I have taken observation. Where meters are not on the side of the customer, we have a complaint. But where meters are against the institution, people are silent. Because I know there are people who have used 1 token for the last 1 year, and you are there, you are silent. You are leading us into losses. Those ones are not complaining. But those ones who are complaining are the other club who now are seeing that units are running very fast. And for us, we are open to retract those meters. And should we find those meters faulty, be rest assured, we shall give you a new meter at no extra charge. But also, we have also observed that some of these meters honestly, they are tampered with. Because people want to manage using some of these technicians sometimes who market themselves in different media spaces, that I have maybe 200 units at 10K, and we have fallen trap of so many of these things. We can help you reduce how your electrons flow so that you don't spend a lot of money on electricity. So they tamper with the seals. So all our observations are driven. Sometimes when we go to check these meters, you find the seal was broken long time ago. There is even a loop up into the meter. So and these are all compromisable positions, which will put you at criminal crossroads with an institution. Because when we find you have been stealing power, we will take you on for a criminal charge, pursuant to Section 86 and Section 85 of the Amended Electricity Act of 2022. Yeah, those are serious crimes against us as an institution, also against the government, and you will be facing off with government. So it's a debate that we appreciate, but we also want to encourage you. Kindly report to us these meters. But should we do all the preliminaries I have spoken about, ensuring that we check the wiring of our houses, check the earthing values of our houses to be in line with what is recommended and approved in the grid code and approved by ERA, I can assure you, you will not have pain with how units are running very fast. But also important, we have not changed the system which we are using to sell electricity. This system is the one that used to serve you in the old dispensation when Umeme was here. We have not, even the staff remained there. That is to show you how transparent this process is. And even if you went and asked that, my 10K, I need an explanation for my 10K, can I get an explanation? You will get it. Every breakdown can be given to you in real time so that you know that this is how you have been spending. Our observation is still drawn to one fact, that most of the customers who are having challenges with their units running, we have also observed that because of the improvement in grid stability in some areas, there are areas, by the way, which have not seen even more than 2 blackouts from the time we took over. So power has been on. So there is that change of habit in the usage of electricity that we must also comply with. And also we should be prepared, because we are looking at a time where power is going to be on for 7 days a week, 30 days a month, and only goes off when we are doing maintenance.
Right.
So you must boost your accounts to ensure that you are safe with the complaint. All right.
Good morning, UBC. I need the telephone number of Mr. Jonan Kiza. He'll share that if he's free to share. And let me see. Good morning. I agree with the submission from Kampala. The nuts are running faster. I think you meant the units are running faster than no man ever since UEDCL took over. I am Martin in Gulu. And I think that has been explained. I'm Mike Atama from Hoima. I paid for 2 poles 1 year ago. I did wire my house, and former Umeme surveyed my house, but till date, I'm in darkness.
Mike and many other viewers who have paid for electricity, especially extensions, we want to encourage you to give us the paperwork. But we have also observed most of these extensions were deals. Yes. When you dig so deep to ask a customer to give you a receipt from Umeme, they don't have it. But they will tell you we paid. Right. And this is how most of the Ugandans have been fleeced, especially on issues of extension. And for those who have worked with UEDCL, you will appreciate we are very stringent, especially when it comes to issues of paying for services. Our services are strictly digital, and they are strictly to the institution. We don't receive cash in offices. And one of the reasons which drove us off to this temptation was for people to continue losing money, especially in the rural areas where we are serving. Right. You pay for a pole extension, you must have a receipt for it, for especially that service. So if Atama has a receipt from Umeme, and it can actually be traced, I don't think surely it can take him 2 years to get this service. But chances are very high that he paid an individual in that institution to give him a service. But I think probably the deal went wrong. So we want to encourage Ugandans, if you want to take a service to do with electricity, an extension, please pay for it in its organic way. Go into your mobile account, you can find where you have a new connection, whether 1 pole, 2 pole, or 3 pole. They will give you a bill, you will go in the bank and pay for it, or you will pay it off your phone. Then you will come here and you say, indeed, I paid for these 2 poles, this institution has been sleeping, we will be liable.
Right.
And I can assure you, we have not had instances where a person pays for an extension, it be a 3-phase extension or 1 pole or 2 pole, and they are valid, they have a receipt or even an acknowledgement receipt in their SMS, and they have not been connected. That is not UEDCL. Probably that was some other institution.
Right. What has been the UEDCL impact on West Nile as a region in the first 100 days? This is Gilbert Adibo.
Mr. Adibo, for starters, allow me to guide you. UEDCL does not operate in West Nile. But also, I want you to appreciate government on the side of UEDCL, that the network which is operated by Wenereko is actually UEDCL's network. It is us who constructed it and handed it over to Wenereko for O&M for this period until their concession will expire.
Right.
But also, let me help Mr. Adibo. When government was struggling with the delays on the side of transmission to have the interconnection between Orio substation and the Nebi substation, we as UEDCL, I think we were the first government agency who actually supplied the West Nile region with the power from the national grid. It was our infrastructure actually which hit the West Nile region to supply people in Nebi, Arua, up to the other extent of the Madi sub-region.
Right.
So already we have already had an impact prior to even our coming. But also feel at home. I think stability has returned in the West Nile region. You have more electricity than even ever you have ever had in 60 years. You have very critical substations on the side of West Nile, and I don't think reliability today is a problem to the West Nile region as it were maybe 5 or 3 or so many years back, before the completion of the transmission projects under GAP.
Right. The other question, indeed, as we begin to bring this conversation to a close, in Oyam, whenever there is rain, electricity is off. Why, why isn't it in any other part of the country but Oyam? I think that's what you're asking.
Okay. An observation taken from Oyam, but there are 2 critical challenges we have in Oyam. Number 1, I think we have a problem. There is a certain PAP, project affected person, who has denied us chance to cut a certain forest. And I know every time we enter a rainy season, we always face a challenge of reliability on the side of Oyam. So we are working close to ensure that we reach a common point of understanding, or we'll do a diversion of the line to get it off close to the forest. And these are some of the things which really affect reliability. Someone plants an eucalyptus, maybe eucalyptus trees under the power line, without even consideration that at some one point T, these trees are going to grow and surpass the power lines. The branches will start interfering with the power lines. The principle of our electricity nowadays in the modern age is anything which is alien to electricity, anything alien, an alien object touching the power line, the electricity goes off. That's the principle. And it doesn't go off because it is fearing you, it goes off because it wants to save you from you being killed by electricity. So we have a slight challenge on the side of Oyam. It is true.
Right.
But it's a PAP. It's a project affected person who is giving us some complication.
All right. Yeah. Why are we asked to provide transport fee for somebody to bring a meter after meeting all costs?
Our apologies, and whoever is doing it, just get that person, take him to police, let him be charged of fraud. Because our electricians, our staff are paid every allowance to enable them deliver the services to you. But also, allow me also hint on this. Sometimes we have a certain consumer behavior that we need to drop as Ugandans. We know this service is free. Why are we giving people money? We initiate some of these things. Somebody has connected you, say, Munange, don't go without something. You get money and give them.
We are correct.
You normalize, you regularize some of these things.
Yes.
So let us stop. If we have been doing it, kindly let us stop. And should they ask you, please give it to them, but get policemen nearby, let them arrest that person, and they take them and charge them on counts of corruption. Because that's a corrupt tendency. And for those who are watching us from parts of even Guru, you know UEDCL doesn't play with corrupt stuff. For us, once we get you and you have been involved in a corrupt tendency, the destination is one, you are out. Because we know they are very sober Ugandans and Ugandans with integrity who want to serve their country without taking any indirect benefits from you, the consumer.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jonan Kiza. Good morning, Uganda. Odaro Vincent is my name. Thank you for the show. I'm watching from Tororo. And that brings us to the end of this conversation as UEDCL has tried its level best to explain service disruptions. I believe you've been answered. I believe you've been helped in one way or the other. Somebody wanted your contact. Are you free to share it on air, or it should be off air?
I'll share it off air too.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. Ruben is coming up with sport. Now, I don't know what conversation he has when it comes to the Club World Cup qualifiers as PSG lost to Chelsea 3-0. But if you have
That's my team, actually. It means we are winning as UEDCL.
Chelsea. I know now you're added to the list of Chelsea fans that I know of, and surely the weekend was good for you. But from me to you, let's do this again tomorrow. Good morning, Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcast